As I sit down to record this video, it's actually the day before my 5th wedding anniversary. And on this channel, you've seen my husband pop up on here a few times. I've talked a little bit about relationships and dating. We've reacted to some fun TikToks or whatever. But I don't think I've ever actually talked by myself about marriage because, to be frank, I hadn't felt wholly qualified to even deal with that topic. But one of the most important things I think I've learned in the past 5 years is that marriage is daily work, just like everything else in life. And I imagine that you're going to be learning something about marriage, about your spouse, about yourself till death do you part. So why not? I decided to sit down and talk about 5 of the many life lessons and things I've learned so far in my first 5 years of marriage. So if that's of interest to you, stay tuned. Hey y'all, welcome back to Mac the Maverick, where we talk about all things well-rounded womanhood, even personal health and relationships. If you're new here, thanks for stopping by, and if you're not new here, thanks for coming back. So this is going to be kind of informal, impromptu, rapid fire. I saw a post several weeks ago calling for married women to offer advice about marriage to women who are single or women who desire to be married. And I got to thinking and I started listing stuff, and the list got longer and longer and longer and longer. So I'm just going to talk about 5 things that I've learned or observed. If we want to do a part 2 at some point, we can. But as you listen, I want y'all to drop down in the comments below and let me know what you all think. Whether you are married, have been married a long time, widowed, or even divorced, and there are things that you've learned about marriage in hindsight. All of that wisdom is valuable, and I want to hear from you. So yeah, let's get into number 1. If you want to be separate, then you might as well stay single. This one might be kind of unpopular opinion or controversial because there's so much debate about what level of individuality you would maintain when you get married, because we're all human beings. We are people with our own desires and tastes and likes and dislikes, and that's cool. But I liken marriage to a carpool, right? You got 2 people going the same direction toward the same destination. It makes no sense to take 2 separate vehicles to go there. Yeah, if I stay in my own little car and I don't have to worry about somebody messing with my air conditioner, somebody complaining about the music, who eats and who doesn't, etc., etc. But it's more efficient and more effective if you go together. And for those of us that believe in Christ and the Bible, it says that when you marry, the 2 become one, not 2 separate entities that remain separate. And you don't get the benefit of having a spouse if you live your life completely separately, but you also don't give the benefit of being a spouse when you keep your life completely separate. You might as well just draw up a contract and have a business arrangement if you're gonna do that. So I do believe that it does require some personal sacrifice. It does require a lot of compromise, but within that sacrifice, within that compromise, within that willingness to go balls to the wall together, you get the greatest growth and the greatest proceeds from being married. So again, most of this is my opinion. You guys let me know if you agree or disagree. Number 2, do some things for yourself and your own personal growth before you get married. If I stick with our carpool analogy, it's kind of frustrating, or it takes some compromise when you get in the car with somebody or they get in the car with you and they got a million errands to run, or when you got just enough gas money to get to and fro and they never ever offer you any gas money because they ain't got it either, type deal. And as it pertains to marriage, I understand some people do get married young. My parents married young in their very early 20s, and that works out for a lot of people. I wanted to get married much younger than I did. But if that is not your lot in life or God's will for you, it's okay. But what do you do with all of that time while you're waiting? You work on you. Explore some of your own passions. Grow in your career. Fix your finances. Work on your health. Most importantly, work on you as a person, your emotional health. Work on your mental health. Things like that. Because for one thing, you will be a better partner. I will say I have been a better partner than I probably would have been before I had experienced a little bit of life than after. Hopefully I didn't just jumble that up. I feel like the experiences, the lessons learned, the hard knocks and the good times that my husband and I both brought to the marriage, they have been really complementary to each other, and we've been able to do a little bit more and enrich one another's lives by all the things that we kind of accumulated prior to getting married, materially and otherwise. Also, as I just explained with this carpool analogy, when you get married, there is some level of compromise. There will be some level of conceding to the other person's needs. You gotta consider this person because you're doing life with them. And that may mean not always getting what you want. That may mean having to wait a little longer for some things to prioritize the most urgent need, whatever the case may be. So if you have an opportunity to explore as much of your life as possible prior to getting married, take advantage of that time. So piggybacking off of number 2, number 3, marriage won't fix everything. If you're looking for marriage to fill every void that you have in your life, then I'm sorry to tell you that's probably not going to be the case. Whatever luggage, whatever bags you have before you get married, yes, you will then have somebody to help you bear the burden of that load, but it will not make that baggage go away. Say, for instance, you have unhealed hurts from old relationships or from your childhood. Being in a marriage with somebody who is loving and supportive and patient with you while you're doing the work and on their journey might help you. It might even restore your faith and love. But if you're not working on it, if you're not allowing yourself to be healed and grow through that, letting it go, it will show up in how you treat your spouse. It might show up in how you trust your spouse so on and so forth. If you got bad habits, like let's say you don't manage money very well, right? Marrying somebody who manages money better than you do is a compliment, and it might help you have some accountability, might even rub off on you and your particular habits. But if you don't do the work and change your mindset around how you manage money, then you're on the road for a lot of potential conflict. You're on the road to not growing any better. Being married, it's not going to completely solve that problem. If you got debt, that debt isn't going to magically disappear because you now have somebody to help you with it. You all get the point. We can't look at marriage to solve all of our issues, to heal all of our ills, to fix every problem we have in life. It's still two imperfect people bringing their imperfectness together, trying to make a perfect love. So just be aware of that. As I mentioned, try to do as much improvement on yourself before you come into a marriage. You won't have everything solved, but try, make some effort. Before you get married, please submit yourself to premarital counseling. Certain states, Tennessee being one of them, will even cut a discount off of your marriage license fee if you do a certain number of sessions, which is an added benefit on top of it. But please do have those conversations. Number 4, this may be a controversial opinion, but I believe that if 50-50 was really a thing, then for better or worse wouldn't mean as much. So the internets and social media, so on and so forth, there's this recurring argument or discourse around the idea of 50-50 in relationships and in marriage. And most of the time, the concentration of that conversation is about money, who pays what bills. Sometimes it's about roles in households, who's responsible for what tasks, etc. And the main issue I have with that is that life is rarely black and white or cut and dry enough for that to even make sense. You're gonna have times in life, whether it be physical, mental, emotionally, whatever the case, where one person is up and one person is not so up. You might be having a banner year and the other person might be having a complete bust. What good is having a spouse if you can't roll with the ebbs and flows of life? I think if you want a cut and dry, completely 50-50, 100% of the time, you might as well just draw up a contract and have a business relationship. You do this for me, I do this for you, and it's an even exchange. And going back to the idea of two people becoming one, when you become one, it equals 100%, regardless of what the division of pieces looks like. You're 100% together. On one day, it might be 50-50. Next week, it might be 70-30. The next month, it might be 45-55, whatever the case may be. But I think if you can't ebb and flow and adjust to meet one another's needs and partner and do that together, then you might as well not even take the better or worse, sickness or health, till death do you part of the vows. Just go ahead and cut all that out. Again, this is my personal opinion. It just, that particular argument and the going back and forth about it is very much a thorn in my side, itch in my butt. Excuse me. Discussion. I'm sick of it. That leads me to number 5. And if I could really emphasize any one thing on this list, stop letting strangers on the internet dictate how you run your household. Stop letting strangers on the internet dictate how you run your household. And y'all, I know I'm technically a stranger on the internet to most of you all. But that said, you can take everything I say with a grain of salt. You can eat the meat, spit out the bones, whatever the case may be. But that said, like, there are way too many variables and unique circumstances in life to be basing all of your beliefs on the court of public podcast bros. Can't stand it, can't stand it, can't stand it. None of these people have to live your life for you. They're not raising your kids with you. They're not in your relationship, in your wallet, in your bank account. They have no concept of your lifestyle and the challenges that you are facing. So yeah, you might see some advice or some arguments out there every now and then, but at the end of the day, who cares whether you wash dishes on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and your spouse washes them on Tuesday, Thursdays, and Sundays this month and the opposite next month? Who really cares how you decide to divide up the light bill and the mortgage or whatever? That kind of stuff has to depend on your situation, because again, you are married. It's you, your spouse, and God together. Y'all are in the car, y'all are carpooling, and y'all are heading to that destination together. Somebody else might be going east and you might be going west, whatever the case may be. So yeah, stop listening to strangers on the internet. That said, there's so much more I could say. Again, if y'all want a part 2, we can do a part 2. And I definitely, who knows, if y'all leave me enough comments, I might come on and do another video and talk about what you guys had to say. I would really love to do that. So let me know your thoughts. Like the video if you like the video. Subscribe and turn your notifications on so you can stay in the know about what's coming next. And yeah, marriage, I always say, is one of the most difficult things I've ever done, but it's one of the most rewarding things I've ever done or been a part of. So to Mr. Casper Corder, I love you and happy 5th anniversary. May we have many, 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 many more to come. So you guys, do what you love what you do, and keep at it. Till next time, see you on the next one. Bye-bye, y'all.